2-minute drill time here at 105.5 WDHA. I'm Jim Monaghan along with Chris Swendeman. And our guest this morning covers the Jets for The Athletic, Zack Rosenblatt. Good morning and welcome back to DHA.
Yeah, you guys doing?
Well, a month ago we had you on. It was right after a bad loss to the Patriots. And we were talking about how frustrated everybody was. The players, the fans. All of a sudden, things look a whole heck of a lot different. What happened?
That's the life cycle of a Jet season. It goes through these peaks and valleys. It was like this last year too. It seems like the world's ending sometimes after a loss, and it seems like everything's going great, and that's kind of what's happened. They nearly beat the Chiefs, which was a very positive effort, and they probably should have won that game if not for like a few things that didn't go their way. The Broncos game they kind of eked out, and they probably should have won a little more against a bad team, and then the Eagles game was an absolute upset where they just outplayed, a team that maybe is a Super Bowl favorite. So they went to buy 3-3, which, as I've said, they would have been happy with that with Aaron Rodgers because of how hard that schedule was. And they went into the buy 3-3 with Zach Wilson. And on paper, the schedule the rest of the way looks a lot easier than the beginning of it. A lot of times the schedule stuff is overplayed, and each week you never know what's going to happen in this league. But they're in position now to be a threat for the playoffs, which I don't know that I would have told. I mean, I'm sure I didn't. I don't remember my exact comments, but I'm sure I didn't say that the last time we talked.
We were not talking playoffs a month ago.
Yeah.
Playoffs. I think the biggest difference is probably Zach Wilson. In fact, he wrote in The Athletic on Thursday morning that he stopped playing scared. What changed there with him, Zach?
Yeah, Zach Wilson talked about that a little bit on Thursday. One of the biggest things was that Chiefs game. He kind of came out. He was slinging it. That was the best game he's probably played as a pro. And he said that he felt like he was finally showing on the field what he had been showing in practice. And so that's kind of why you've seen the confidence grow a little bit. I still think there's a long way to go. I don't think he's been like great these last couple of games. I just think he's done just enough to not like lose the game for them. And with the defense they have, that maybe that's all they need. But I think the next step for him is now just playing loose like that all game, slinging it, getting out of the pocket, making throws down the field. And when this offense starts scoring points in the red zone, they can be a real threat. But right now, they're the worst red zone offense in the league. So that's like the next step for them.
Chris, you and I have been talking all year about the Jet defense, and there's been a marked improvement.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this D is leading the way for the rest of the team. And one of the funny things about this game coming up this week, guys, that I was thinking about, they beat the Giants, and now you're getting into the part of this NFL schedule where they're going to flex games. A couple weeks ago, you would have thought the NFL would sure to flex out games like Jets, Chargers, Jets, Raiders. Jets are in the thick of things. They can't flex the Jets out now. This team is actually almost must see. Can you imagine that we're talking about this after losing Aaron Rodgers? It blows my mind.
Yeah, and crazily enough, I think they have 3 of the most watched games that have happened at all this year. I know some of that has to do with like prime time and all that stuff, but when the Jets are interesting, as I think there was a lot of eyes on them because of the Rodgers stuff more than usual, and then the fact that they've kind of played fairly well, eyes have kind of stayed on them, and that's definitely been a surprise. I definitely wouldn't have thought we'd be in the spot we're in now, and I think the coaching staff deserves a lot of credit for that, and keeping this thing together, keeping the locker room from fracturing after that Patriots game. And so now they're sitting here at 3-3. They beat a Giants team that they should beat. They're 4-3. You got games against the Chargers, Raiders, as you mentioned. Those are both very winnable. And then you're in a position as you go into like the divisional games where you're competing with the Dolphins and the Bills, and that's where you start getting real serious about what this team can do in the playoffs.
Zach, you and Charlotte also covered this point in The Athletic on Thursday morning. Which team has more pressure on it this weekend?
Yeah, it's more is tough to answer because I think they both have a degree of pressure. I'd say that the Giants probably have more because I think if they lose this game, they're in a pretty deep hole. I think the Jets can recover from 3-4 in theory. I think, I don't think fans would be happy. I think a lot of the goodwill they got from the Eagles win would go away, but it's recoverable with the schedule coming up. If they at least come out of that and they're still healthy and stuff like that. I think the Giants, if they lose this game, they already looked bad even in that win against Washington. They should have beat the Bills a couple weeks ago. Their offense has been pretty rough. You don't really know what the quarterback situation is. So it really could go off the rails if it's a close game. Maybe they feel okay, but if the Jets kill them too, then things bad things could happen over there.
You can follow him on Twitter at Zack Blatt, and read him, of course, covering the Jets and the Athletic. Zack Rosenblatt, thanks for your time this morning. Swendeman, you and I will be back next Friday morning on the 2-Minute Drill.
You got it, guys.
Yeah, thanks for chatting.